welcome back to Off the Post. In today's episode, I'll be discussing whether Rob Edwards can save Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League this season. But before that, as always, please like, comment and subscribe. It's very much appreciated and it goes a long way in helping me build a small community on my channel, okay? We've recently just hit 253 subscribers. Can we go and get the big 300? I'd be absolutely over the moon if we can go and do that, my channel even bigger and better than it is at the moment. And yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you for all the support on our most recent videos, all the likes and the comments on social media as well. It definitely is going unnoticed. And yeah, let's get straight into the episode, shall we? Wolverhampton Wanderers have recently just hired Rob Edwards from Middlesbrough in the Championship, and for me, I don't know about the signing. Don't get me wrong. I like the fairy tale story of him obviously starting out at Wolverhampton, becoming their player in like 2008. I think he played there for like 4 years. I'm pretty sure, from either like 2004 to 2008 or 2008 to 2012. I've got my time difference wrong. I'm not too sure, but obviously he spent 4 years at the club. And for me, I do like some of the stuff he's doing in the Championship in terms of getting Middlesbrough into those playoff positions. He was doing some decent stuff at Middlesbrough, of course, doing some good stuff at Luton Town as well. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully I'm right in saying that. So, he has spent a bit of time in the Championship playing well. And was he the manager with Luton Town when they got promoted? I could be wrong. Maybe let me know in the comments down below, Wolverhampton fans. Has he actually managed in the Premier League or not? I'm not too sure. I probably should have double checked that, to be honest. However, for me, if we think about Rob Edwards, if we think about the position that Wolverhampton Wanderers are in, already played 11 games at the start of the season, won 0 games, drew 2 and lost 9, okay? For me, they're bottom of the league on 2 points. I just don't see where the way back for Wolverhampton Wanderers. I don't think even Pep Guardiola could be doing this. I don't even know if Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't know if Jose Mourinho. I don't know whether Nuno Santos at Espirito could get him out of this position. I'm not too sure. Don't get me wrong. They're only 7 points behind Nottingham Forest. They're only 8 points behind West Ham. When you think about the next 5 fixtures, they're very hard. They've got Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Manchester United, Arsenal. For me, I just can't see where they're going to get victories out of those next 5 games, especially when you've got 2 like Midlands derbies in there. I'm just not too sure whether Rob Edwards is the right man to sort of get him out of the hole. Don't get me wrong, I like the appointment because he's a forward-thinking manager and he's done some good stuff in the Championship. But for me, I think Wolverhampton Wanderers are pretty much already setting up for playing in the Championship under Rob Edwards. I can't see him, I can't see him sort of saving them late on in the Premier League this season. Of course, don't get me wrong, we're still in November, it's still early on. If they get a few decent signings in January, we could all be saying, Wolverhampton could be absolutely fine. But for at this point in time, I just don't see it. Don't get me wrong, they've got a few decent players here and there in Jose Sarr, in is it Gomez in midfield, the Brazilian midfielder. Obviously, they've got Strand-Larsen in attack. Probably got 3 or 4 players for me who are probably stand-up players. However, are they good enough to keep them in the Premier League? I just don't know. Especially when you think about their defence this season. For me, I can probably name you 2 or 3 of their defenders, but they're not guaranteed starters week in week out, are they? For me, Wolves' best defender is probably Emmanuel Agbadou, just because some of the stuff he was doing last season, okay, obviously playing out from the back, using his strength and his physicality, his tackling ability, I do think there's a good centre-back in there. However, when you've sort of, when you partner alongside him, he's not as great. When you fullbacks, when you don't get enough defensive cover from your fullbacks, I just don't think he's the main man to sort of lead the line for that defence. I feel like he would benefit from being more of a. I feel like he'd benefit more with having like a leader next to him. I think that's what Emmanuel Agbadou actually does need alongside him. Someone like a Craig Dawson, someone like a Connor Cody a few years ago for Wolverhampton Wanderers. But yeah, I just don't know if he's that main leader in the back for Wolverhampton to sort of get them out of that hole. We've seen it this season. Like, they've conceded so many goals. They've got a goal difference of -18. Okay, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna where are you gonna find the goals from? Where are you gonna stop conceding the goals as well? And if you think about the whole atmosphere around the club, okay, at the start of the season, It was absolutely awful. They probably had the worst atmosphere in the whole league this season. You had fans arguing with players at the end of the games, okay? In Jose Sarr, in the previous manager as well, coming out after the games, like waiting in the car park. The fans are waiting in the car park to argue with the players. Like you need to get behind your players. You need to get the team camaraderie, if you like, absolutely buzzing to spur them on to get the victories over the lines, to get them out the relegation zone. You don't need them, making it worse for the Wolverhampton Wanderers players. That's what you don't need. That's the last thing you need as a player, don't you? So I don't know why the Wolverhampton Wanderers fans are making it worse. From that point of view, don't get me wrong, I can understand their frustration because the players haven't been good enough this season. However, don't do that because it will mess up their mindsets, if you like, and it won't be a good sign for the rest of their season. But yeah, for me, I don't mind Rob Edwards as the manager. I do like him. I think he's a very forward-thinking manager. Like I've said previously at the start of the video, I think obviously he's at the moment probably a good manager in the Championship. Like he's probably don't get me wrong, he did some good stuff at Luton, he did some good stuff at Middlesbrough. The Championship is probably his level at the moment. I don't know whether he'll be good enough to sort of keep them in the Premier League, just because I think he might have only had one season in the Premier League with Luton Town, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, unless he might have got sacked halfway through. To be honest, I can't actually remember off the top of my head, so let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, I just like the whole story around Rob Edwards, being a player for like 4 years at Wolves, sort of, learning this trade, being a coach, sort of, in the under-23s, in the academy and stuff. I feel like that's a nice little story, and him sort of being like a first team coach as well for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And also, I've recently just seen a little rumour, right, that Wolverhampton Wanderers might try and get Connor Cody as one of their like first team coaches as well, which could be very interesting to see, because when you think about obviously Wolverhampton Wanderers conceding so many goals this season, obviously having a minus 18 goal difference, conceded a lot of goals, not being able to score goals either. But one thing, what you do need, is a fantastic defence behind you to be able to allow your midfielders and your forwards to start scoring goals, right? So if Connor Cody could be that man in the Premier League, I'm not too sure whether he wants to retire yet, just because obviously he's doing some good stuff at Wrexham at the moment in the Championship. I feel like he probably would want to be a part of that project as long as possible. But who knows, maybe next season, if they do get relegated in the Championship, Connor Cody could be the right man to sort of spur them on, to sort of get them back promoted into the Premier League. We'll have to wait and see. But either way, yeah, this is just a short video giving my takes on Wolverhampton Wanderers this season. For me, if I think about them, I just think, they're setting up for the Championship, aren't they, under Rob Edwards? I can't see them sort of staying in the league, unfortunately for them. I just don't think they've got enough quality in their squad. When you think about some of the players they lost in Matthias Cunha, in Yait Nouri as well, defensively, don't get me wrong, defensively he wasn't great, but attacking wise as well, he added that extra element going forward. I just think those two players are an outstanding loss. And when you think about other players down the years, in Ruben Neves, in Diego Jota, RIP to him of course, but in Pedro Neto as well, even like Raul Jimenez, even in Connor Cody, all these star players like they used to have, the sort of, they were good quality players in the Premier League. I don't think they've got good quality players in the Premier League anymore. Like when you think about good professionals in the Premier League, you always had like 5 or 6 players you could pick out for in that Wolves side. But at the moment, I just don't think you can. There's probably 2 or 3 at most. Just my personal opinion. And the atmosphere at the moment from the fans, I feel like that's gonna. It's just a terrible mix. It's a terrible thing. Who knows? Let's just end the video with some questions, okay? Do you feel like Rob Edwards can be the right man to save Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League this season? Do you feel like, Wolverhampton Wanderers are sort of setting up for the Championship under Rob Edwards? Is it a nice little fairy tale story, like a full circle moment, if you like, for the manager, Rob Edwards, starting off as a player, going into that coaching position, and then obviously coming back to Wolves now as well, because obviously that's probably his biggest club that he's been to in his managerial career, at least anyways. And yeah, do you feel like it's pretty much game over for Wolverhampton Wanderers this season? Do you feel like if they get into January, make a few smart signings, could they be back to their former best? Is it a little bit too early to write them off? And yeah, that's it really. Let me know in the comments down below. But before that, as always, please like, comment and subscribe. It's very much appreciated, and it goes a long way helping me build a small community on my channel. We've recently just hit 253 subscribers. If we can go get the big 300, I'll be absolutely mind blown. Okay, I honestly would be at this point, because all the recent support on our videos, all the likes and the comments on social media as well, definitely got noticed. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.